Hi babies, I missed you. I've touched on what an awful person I used to be in a couple of past videos. I think they were last year when I was just transitioning and explaining why I'm transitioning and stuff like that. I thought it'd be fun to revisit it a year later and see how I feel on the topic now. There's no doubt in my mind that HRT has made me a better person. Hormones have made me such a better person. I have a boyfriend who loves me so much. I'm so lucky to have him. And I've got some amazing friends who seem to accept me and like me. If he knew me a couple of years ago, or if some of you knew me a couple of years ago, you would hate me. I'm telling you, you would hate me. You would think I was a monster. And you wouldn't be wrong. I was. I used to be a monster. I was a beast. Hormones have made me human. I didn't used to be human. I was evil. Pure evil. I was mean and hateful and bitter, bigoted, big-headed, egocentric, egotistical. I was the epitome of toxic masculinity. I think some guys just weren't made for testosterone. I think testosterone is just poison for some people, and clearly I was one of them. I've had 3 main past loves. 4 now, including Neko, my baby boy. I've had 3 main past loves. Now I say main past, these are the ones who had the displeasure of being in close proximity with me. Lived with them. Or at least they stayed with me in real life. There was Holly. Oh my god. I treat Holly like shit. It's absolutely, it's an abomination how I treat her. We lived together for a while. She soon saw my true colours and left. I was lazy, self-centered, selfish, possessive, paranoid. God, I was toxic. She soon left. And of course I blamed her. Well, when you're toxic, when you're a toxic male, when you're suffering from toxic masculinity, or at least when other people are suffering from toxic masculinity, you don't notice you have it. You don't know you have it, so you don't know what you're doing. It's so weird, because now I can look back and see how wrong I was. But when you're inside, now I'm outside the box looking in, I can see. But when you stood inside that box looking out, you can't see. Do you get what I mean? So I didn't know back then what a horrible person I was. I thought I was just being normal. So part of it is just some guys aren't made for testosterone. Another part is upbringing, nurturing, the way society brings up boys, the entitlement, male socialization. I was abused. I went through trauma as a child myself, so maybe that was part of it. I don't know. So when something goes wrong, it's always somebody else's fault. You can't self-reflect. It's like you do not have the ability to self-reflect. You just don't what did I do wrong? What about me? You know what I mean? So I became bitter of that. And there was Beth, who again I treat like shit. I treat her like a possession. Beth's problem was she loved me too much. She was it's not her fault, but she was an enabler, not her fault. But she never, looking back, She should have stood up to me so many times and never did. God, I abused poor Beth. By abuse, I mean like emotionally and mentally manipulated. I was manipulative. Jealous, egotistical. One day, she just snapped. I was like, wow, this guy's an asshole. And left. Just went complete devotion to, I don't want to talk to this monster ever again. And she hasn't. One day she just left, and that's it. I don't even know how to contact her now, even if I wanted to. She just disappeared off my radar completely. So that tells you something, which is a shame really, because I think out of everybody, I'd love to apologize to her the most. God, she'd be so shocked and surprised at how I've changed. But you know, she doesn't owe me a chance to apologize to her, and I'd never insult her by asking for her forgiveness, to be honest, because I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. She gave me so much love, and I gave nothing back. Actions speak louder than words. And oh boy, did my actions speak. See, I did love her. That's the thing. I mean, I did love her. I just couldn't show it. Didn't show it. Didn't know how to show it. When when I did think I was showing it, I was showing it all wrong. It's not. Again, the toxic masculinity. Then there was Katie. My little Katie Pie. Who I treated pretty crappy in the beginning. To be fair, I don't think I was that bad with Katie. I think I was trying to be better with her. But then again, Katie was never one to take shit. She would actually stand up to me. I was trying to be better for her, but was failing miserably. I mean, I wasn't abusive with her actually. I wasn't manipulative, but I think at this point I was a broken person. I mean, we broke up for a while because of my drug use. She kicked me out because of the drug use. She didn't dump me per se. She was actually hoping I'd just quit the drugs and go back to her. But I didn't. I just carried on taking the drugs. I didn't go back to do her a favour, to be honest. I thought she deserved better, so I actually just let her go. And then when we reconciled and rekindled, after I'd quit drugs, I was just a broken mess. I sort of knew how awful I'd been in the past, and I just didn't know how to handle that. I decided to leave her again. She did nothing wrong. I feel bad for breaking her heart like that. But I just couldn't be with her. I just wanted to be alone. And that included friends as well. I sort of distanced myself from friends, family, real life. I basically just locked myself in my pub. Didn't really talk to anybody. And then I signed up to Twitter. I signed up to Twitter. I made some trans friends. And at first, I was still suffering from the remnants of my toxic maleness, my toxic bigoted past. I didn't know how to be a better person. And also, it was around this time I started developing schizophrenia from my past drug use. My mind and kept telling me, and I kept seeing, kept feeling this aura, these messages pushing me, going, maybe I should transition. Maybe I should turn myself into a tranny to punish myself for the past. And for some reason, I was thinking that it would somehow redeem me. It was my road to redemption. If I wanted to be really sorry for the male I was, I should become the opposite of everything I was. I used to be a bigot. So I made friends with people that I used to be bigoted against. I used to be hateful. So I became loving. I used to be bitter. So instead I became carefree. I used to be a toxic male. So I thought, I'll turn myself into a tranny. Because it'd be funny. It'd be funny, and all my enemies seeing me turn into something my old self would hate. It would be some sort of, I don't know. I was a loony. So I ordered hormones off the internet. And I took my first HRT pills on the 28th of January 2022. And it was about a month after this that I magically got human emotions for the first time. For the first time in my life, I felt human, and everything became so clear. My mind cleared, and I realized how awful I was still being. And then it hit me that why I was the way I was. I mean, the way I was thinking is like, being trans is a punishment. That was a toxic way of thinking about it. So even though I knew I was a bad person, I was being a bad person trying to deal with being a bad person. If that makes sense. I don't know how to put this into words. It's so hard to talk about. My mind is so filled with this kind of stuff that I don't know how to deal with it. And these kind of videos just sort of helps me unjumble the mess. And I think it's then, though, about a month after HRT, that I really did want to become a better person. But what's funny is I didn't have to try. I didn't have to make an effort to be a good person like I did before. Like when I was with Katie, everything was an effort. Everything was a chore. Everything seemed like a hurdle and an obstacle. You have to break this down and fight through this and reprogram this. But once I started hormones, I didn't. Everything, it was just like fog suddenly cleared, and you could see a clear horizon. I just naturally became a better person without any effort. Now, whether it's the estrogen that did that, or whether it's just having my testosterone blocked that did that, I don't know. Maybe a mix of both. But I actually got human emotions. I'm just naturally compassionate now. And empathetic. See, I didn't used to feel empathy. I didn't even know what empathy was. Back when I was a guy, I had zero empathy. I didn't understand that other people had feelings. How weird is that? Something so simple as that. As a male, the only feelings in the world that mattered was mine. But after hormones, I always put other people's feelings before my own. And weirdly, that makes me feel better anyway. So it kind of works out. But it doesn't take any effort to do that. It just comes naturally. It's just like a light switch just flicked on. It's like, whoa, this, you know, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, so I'm not going to say that. And that's it. It wasn't that I didn't care about other people's feelings. It's just that it never computed that other people have feelings. Is that weird? I don't know if that's normal for guys, or I don't know. But now I'm conscious of other people's feelings. I understand that they have them. And I feel awful if someone's feelings is hurt. If you don't know somebody has feelings, then how can you care if they're hurt? You can't empathize. So empathy is a big thing that I have now that I didn't used to. This made me a much better person overall. As mentioned, I have a boyfriend now, my little Neko, my little kitten, my baby boy, who I love with all my heart and soul, regardless of my past. And I know he loves me. It's partly my past experiences that I'm ready to be in a committed relationship again. And chose Neko, because I know now that I won't make the same mistakes as I did in my past. I know that I'll never hurt him. I believe I can be good enough for him because I know how to express my love now. I just want to take care of him. I'm naturally nurturing now. And Neko is more important to me than I'm important to me. Whereas in the past, that used to be the opposite. I was the most important. But now, my baby is more important than me. To me. Than me to me. You get me? My baby boy comes first. Before my own needs. My baby boy's needs comes first. And again, I'm not making a conscious decision to be that way with him. It doesn't I'm not thinking about it, or I don't have to make any effort to be that way with him. It just sort of comes naturally on its own. I'm just naturally that way with him. Since starting hormones, I don't have an ego. I don't feel competitive. I don't feel threatened by somebody being better than me either. That's a big thing. When you're a guy, especially if you're a toxic male suffering with insecurity issues, having a bruised ego, or you always feel like you're in a competition. That you have to win, and it just fills you with rage and bitterness and anger and hate, and all that has gone. Because with no testosterone, I don't feel that competitiveness. I used to love PvP games because I love to compete. You've got to be the best. You've got to be aggressive. But now I don't have that. It's I don't care. Oh, you're not better than me. Alright. I'm not better than you. Who cares? I don't care. It's I don't feel that need anymore. I don't feel that urge to beat anyone or put anyone down. You just lose that. you lose that edge. Just things, unimportant things, just don't matter to you anymore. Whereas when you're a male with testosterone, you know, the most silly, unimportant things, just, they seem like life or death situations when really nobody gives a shit, right? Except your ego. It doesn't matter. And hormones have helped me realize that. And another thing is, when I said earlier about like a fog clearing and you're able to see the horizon, the ability to think with your brain up here and not the little brain down there, you have no idea how clearer the world becomes because of that. You're not guided by your libido. You're not sex-centric. You're not obsessed with sex. You're not navigating the world trying to please your hard-on or fulfill your fantasies or anything like that. All that is gone. And you're free to pursue true happiness using the brain up there and using your heart. You're free to think with your mind and your feelings rather than with your junk. And that makes you such a better person. Because that's a problem with toxic guys. When they're just thinking with that down there, everything becomes about that. That they will manipulate and scheme and plan and lie and exaggerate and be aggressive and everything just to get that pleased, right? Everything's about that. They'll become competitive and possessive and jealous and cruel and mean, and they'll put you down and pull your self-esteem down and controlling it. That's at the root of it. And then especially if you throw in insecurity with that, because if they're insecure, they'll do everything they can to protect their ego and protect their access to sex. That's the driving force behind being a guy who maybe just wasn't meant to be a guy. They're filled with this poison called testosterone and don't know how to handle it. They just don't have the minds for it. I'm convinced now I was always meant to be a girl. Whether I ever become a full girl remains to be seen. I mean, I've been on injections since December now, and I still look like this. Yeah. And hear my voice, though. Don't know if you could tell, but I've got a bit of the head cold at the minute. So my throat hurts, my nose is bungy. But it's definitely not a girl voice, right? So I'm just a little femboy right now. You know, being a little femboy is better than being a toxic man. I'm happy with my lot. If I ever get access to voice coaching, and if I ever get the money for facial feminization surgery, maybe I'll become a full girl. Just being on the right hormones has made me happy, because it's freed me from the shackles of masculinity. I've come to accept that I'm a different person now than I used to be. I'll never forgive myself for the way I was. I'm also not beating myself up about it anymore, because I'm not that person. anymore. I'd rather focus on being the person I am now, and just always trying to be a better person, rather than obsessing over how I used to be. Because again, it's not about my feelings anymore. It's about other people and my effects on other people. Big Sis is gonna go nap now. Thanks for listening to my ramblings. I don't know what I did. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm making this video. I just had my head filled with all these thoughts, and it just helps me to verbalize them and get them out. And making a video like this, it just gives me an excuse to process these thoughts. Hopefully one day I'll have a psychiatrist I can bug about this stuff instead of just talking to you about it. Anyway. Have a great week, my babies. Bye bye. Zippity.